All right, the next set, here we go. Switching over to Capture Age. Alright, so Arabia, we do have at either AI's Aztecs this time. We've got the Persians for the lieutenant and Burmese for the soldier. And taking a look here, so the lieutenant went for a lumber camp in the back. That should be nice and safe, but a mill on the berries in the forward position here. And is it a deer Arabia? It is. So we might see some deer pushing. Not from the lieutenant. I don't think the lieutenant does any deer pushing. Hard-coded to not do that to play lower difficulties. Play as if it's a less skilled player. I'm not sure if Soldier will do some deer pushing or not. We might see it right now. Let's see. Yes, we got some deer pushing from Soldier. With some boar hunting as well. So Soldier should jump ahead with some gathering. And you'll notice that the Lieutenant also has some hard-coded idle TC time. And to try to turn down its difficulty. So, the soldier, I think as most of us are aware, is a swordsman rush, which benefits from the recent infantry patch. And, okay, good. I was afraid that the deer might have gone back. So, we got some deer gathering for our soldier. And so the lieutenant is kind of like the general should go for a fast castle with Persians, likely to go for knights. So if soldier can get a good man-at-arms rush in before the lieutenant gets to castle age and gets its knights going, that'll be what soldier wants to go for. But if it ever ends up being a place where it's an equal number of men-at-arms or longswords against knights, that'll go in the lieutenant's favor. Yeah, I suppose Bimap could kind of give that sort of impression like it's two maps at once. But no, just two very classic maps in different games. The first game being Arabia, the second game being Arena. The Bimap is a good enough name for now. Maybe if I run a similar tournament again with two other maps, I'll come up with a different name for it. But mostly just want to get some good playing in, get a tournament going for the AI scripting community. And especially help get AIs ready for the chickens and all of the new changes with the infantry patch and the DLC. We've already seen some nice games with the new civilizations. So we got 2 lumber camps for the lieutenant, along with a bunch of farms. Ahead of villagers over soldier. That could be because of the lieutenant skipped loom. And we got soldier with a boar lure coming here. We got a barracks and then a mining camp for soldier here. I think soldier is still waiting to get the food to go up to feudal age. But despite the lieutenant's idle TC time, the resources collected are actually much higher. So we'll see if the soldier can overcome that disadvantage. I think once this spore comes in, we might see the soldier catch up slightly. But I think that it shows you that I think one really important thing for AIs that not a lot of scriptures look at is just trying to keep the villagers gathering as much as possible and preventing walking time. And avoiding retasking. Finding ways to make the economy more efficient in the Dark Age is actually one of the big things to improve early on for your AIs. It's something that others before me had to teach me and show me. I think it's what brought the general up to a much higher level, and still probably has a ways to go. So we got Loom in for the lieutenant and going up to feudal age. The soldier should be arriving in feudal age in just a few seconds here. With 29 pop, this lieutenant doing 32 pop. And so we've got man-at-arms coming in for soldier. And I think after that we'll start seeing some man-at-arms. So we got a whole bunch of economy upgrades coming in for soldier. Or we got arson coming in as well. So now we got the first man-at-arms coming as the lieutenant gets up to feudal age. And we got a market, blacksmith, and stable going down for the lieutenant. So the soldier might want to send in. Looks like it might be sending in the man-at-arms now. Let's see if they have the +1 attack. Foraging is in. No, actually that's just the Burmese bonus, because the soldier doesn't have the blacksmith up yet. So lieutenant's on the way to castle age. Those man-at-arms are probably need to attack pretty soon to prevent lieutenant from getting some knights going here. +1 armor coming for the soldier, and the man-at-arms are on their way. And we got some town center avoidance code here. So causing a little bit of idle eco for the lieutenant, but not a whole lot yet. No villager kills. But these are enough man-at-arms where they could probably kill a knight if they're all clumped together. So we got a knight coming from both stables here. One knight down, as well as the man-at-arms. So, just a game of can soldier get enough man-at-arms coming in to keep the lieutenant's knights from being able to kill them off. who is using up more resources here. It looked like the knights were able to get a few free kills as the man-at-arms were kind of trapped up here between the town center and the knight. And it looks like slowly the lieutenant is getting knights out faster than the soldier can bring reinforcements. So most of soldiers' attacking army is down, and scout killed the knight. And the scout goes down. Yeah, that knight just has one more hit and then it's dead. And there it goes. That +1 armor for the knights. So it looks like the soldier is finally adding a spearman in. If he can get a bunch of spearmen in, that should really help things. Got 2 barracks overall for soldier. But right now the lieutenant has almost as many military as soldier. Yeah, unfortunately it looks like that spearman's actually being the scout right now. Or maybe not, let's see. Okay, got 1 hit in. But if soldier wants to keep this going, it needs to add spears more than man-at-arms. Soldier has more villagers than the lieutenant, but the lieutenant still has more resources gathered. And here's the first attack from the lieutenant. And we also got a camel for the lieutenant. Not really sure why. One thing about the lieutenant is it always adds a secondary unit and mid-castle age. And sometimes it doesn't really go for the most appropriate unit. That's something that I want to change at some point. Make it a little bit less... make it a little bit more intelligent in castle age, a bit more fluid. It like picks one unit and then sticks with it for the rest of Castle Age, even if it's not the best choice. And I think the reason for that is just to avoid switching support units around a whole bunch and getting a whole bunch of military upgrades. It ends up abandoning like a minute later as it switches up the units that it makes. So the lieutenant's killing off a whole bunch of villagers here, 17 villager kills, which is enough to make this a pretty lopsided game at this point. The soldier is still in feudal age, and nowhere close to castle age. So if the lieutenant can bring in a siege ram, build a siege workshop, that would probably end the game right here. But I think at this point, the lieutenant might get up to Imperial Age first before it gets a siege workshop. It's not really scripted to incentivize get a ram out quickly. It's more of a booming AI. And the lieutenant goes back, decides to wait for later to finish off soldier, get some reinforcements. Looks like soldier was trying to start one of his walls. Actually, it's continuing it right now. I'm not sure if these will get finished in time for the lieutenant's next attack. I imagine that next attack will be coming here pretty quickly. And the soldier doesn't really know when to stop its attack. The lieutenant has more military, and soldiers still in feudal age. But I guess it looks like those units aren't actually going to attack at this point. They're just gathering in the center of the map. Third TC going up for the lieutenant. And if I remember right, the lieutenant will only go up to 80 villagers to kind of mimic a weaker player. So it doesn't really need to boom that much, actually. Going aggressive on the TCs is not really going to help its build order that much. So the lieutenant's been able to give soldiers some breathing room, be able to train up an army here. But the soldier is still not training a whole bunch of villagers. Its economy is still far, far behind. Military-wise, soldiers catching up. But yeah, villagers is just losing ground quite quickly. And hello to those who are here. If you didn't catch our first stream, this is our new bi-map tournament where each AI plays one game on Arena and another on Arabia, with Arabia being the first game of the set. And it's a Swiss tournament, so no AI is eliminated, but we'll have an AI with the most points by the end of the tournament here. We're currently in the first round. This is the second day of the games being played. Yeah, so this game unfortunately was probably GG quite a while ago, but the lieutenant's just not wanting to finish off the game. I think I was trying to save up for Imperial Age here. Got a university and monastery. Pretty late for the monastery. I'm not sure if the university is really needed right now. What would be really nice is a siege workshop, honestly. Alright, there's Imperial Age for the lieutenant. We got a defensive castle. And Castle Age is coming for soldier. I like how close these units are. The lieutenant can't see them. And soldier can't really see the general building up here with the scary army. So I think what should happen is that the lieutenant will get cavalier, maybe the last armor, and then it should attack. Soldier's prepared with some palisades, which will not last long at all. But hey, the soldier made it to the Castle Age. There's a new Persian castle. A decent looking one. Not one that really stands out in my opinion, but it's nice that we got a unique Persian castle now. Got this little relic that no one has picked up yet. We got some monks that if I'm trying to find them. Okay, we got a monk here. So this monk seems to be getting a relic. Maybe this relic. Yep, got a relic coming there. I don't know why this one hasn't been gotten yet. It seems to be the closest one. Alright, we've got a siege workshop coming finally. Looks like we got Cavalier and Heavy Camel coming for the Lieutenant. And an aggressive castle kind of in Soldier's face. This is kind of a declared GG castle. Alright, here we go. Finally got the battle. Soldier got some longswords and pikes, but it's not really going to do much against an Imperial Age army. And the general still does not want to go in and attack. Or, I mean the lieutenant. The lieutenant, for those of you who don't know, is really just a lower difficulty version of the general. But it actually uses the same code underneath. Yeah, why the camels? I think the general has like a point system on like how it picks its counter unit. It's not always based on what will kill off the enemy the quickest. I think it's also based off of what units are strong for the civilization. And also things like, does it already have that building constructed? If so, then it will favor that unit more. So it already had some stables, already had the cav armor and attack upgrades, so it probably figured that the camel was a really easy thing to add. But it doesn't make sense against a soldier. It's not the best pick, honestly. So, like I said earlier in the stream, it's support units and counter unit choices are something I want to change. And the general and the lieutenant pretty soon here. Probably won't come in before the second round. It's something that I have to spend some thought on, like how to do best. But hopefully by the end of the year I'll have an update that has a new system in place. And let's see. The lieutenant's still waiting to attack. Alright, looks like we finally got an attack started. And now that the attack has started, it should be game over pretty quickly here. So one thing I'm noticing is that the lieutenant doesn't seem to want to attack these walls here. Thankfully it's able to get through the gate. On arena maps I have it to encourage attacking the walls. They got some stuttering cavalry here. But on Arabia it's low priority for the walls, I think, unfortunately. But the gate's no match for the ram here. Alright, so I'm going to call GG. The TC was taken out for soldier. This game was over a long time ago. Alright, now for game 2. So we got the lieutenant again against soldier. Now let's see what the civilizations will be for these two AIs. So soldier is Aztecs and Burmese again. That'll make it easier for me. And then lieutenant is Romans and Slavs. So random pick between these two AIs. Alright, gotta take off Aztecs here. Alright. Now, should be all set? Let's get the game started. Yeah, I don't think that the Persians would. I think the general does currently, and the lieutenant currently do take like the enemy civilization into account somewhat. But I don't think it would have made castles trying to anticipate battle elephants or cavalry as much. I really do think it was just because it didn't really see a lot of units that it needed to counter, and so it figured that the camels were just the easiest thing to add in because it already had the building and the technologies researched for it. So we got soldier trying to push a deer, and that deer kind of running away here. Just from the looks of it, my guess is that the soldier is using a deer pushing that uses whole tiles rather than precise points. It's usually a better strategy to pick a precise point to send the deer so you can have a little bit more control. Right now the scout is not really actually going to the best spot by the deer. It's always going to like a corner of a tile. It's right there, then right there. And so we can kind of see that it's not pushing the deer in very well. It takes a little bit more effort to use precise points when targeting your skier for as your scout for pushing deer, but it usually pays off in the end. And actually, a long time ago, Spirit of the Law actually interviewed Promi, who was currently, at the time, he was the scripter for the DAI, and Spirit of the Law actually asked him about how the AI did deer pushing, and Promi described the precise point system and how DUC works for pushing the deer in. I think it was pretty fascinating to see that. It kind of gave some AI some good exposure. Just to take a look at the map a little bit here, probably not too much to say. Got some forests on both sides that are pretty good for a soldier. The gold and stone are both in the back with the nice back area here. That's good sized. And the lieutenant has a forward gold. I'm not sure. It might still be pretty safe. Yeah, it's far ways from the wall and might take a little while for a soldier to break through the gates. And lieutenant also has a fairly good sized back area here. But this is an arena game. We're waiting for the AIs to kind of boom up and do their thing. So Lieutenant was once again ahead on resources collected, but behind on villagers. At 42 seconds of idle TC time, which is by design to try and slow the AI down. The idea is kind of for Lieutenant and the other lower difficulty versions of the General to kind of have the same brain, just not as quick. Basically lower APM and things like that. And doesn't have the same micro level control that the General has. And in comparison to most other AIs, the General doesn't actually have that much in terms of at least military control. But there's actually a lot of little DUC economy things behind the scenes that the General does, even if it doesn't use a full DUC economy. So we got a gold and stone mining camp for soldier. I'm curious how soon the soldier will use this stone mining camp. It might be a bit early for this one. But the soldier has a lumber camp and a mill. I'm grabbing the boar. And we're just waiting to see which AI will get up to the feudal age first. The soldier is definitely ahead on villager count. Neither AI has loom, I think. And so it looks like the soldier might be trying to... the soldier scout is bugged out. I think this happened to last game as well. Hopefully once the scout goes up to feudal age, maybe it'll start working, but I suspect this might be from trying to push these chickens in. Like pushing deer. But it looks like it finally gave up. But let's see, so the soldier hasn't found the lieutenant yet. The lieutenant has found soldier. Alright, so we've got a mining camp on stone for the lieutenant, not for gold. We'll see the strategy that lieutenant goes for here. Yeah, I don't think that soldier used the stone much at all last game. Let's see. Alright, so that villager's building a farm and wasn't going for the stone. So soldier's gathering the gold, so I'm guessing that he's going to go for... Got enough gold for Castle Age, actually. I don't know. I don't think the soldier's going to add archers, so this might be for men-at-arms in Castle Age. I'm not exactly sure. This seems like a lot of gold this early in the game. And definitely a whole lot of lumberjacks. I think if the soldier had more farmers, he'd be going up to feudal age a lot quicker. 35 villager feudal is pretty slow even for arena. Yeah, the lieutenant decided to get this back gold. On Arabia games, or all games, the lieutenant tries to build drop sites on the back resources to be safer. But on arena, that's not as important. I think you actually want to get the forward resources first to try and gather them before they're hit by the enemy. But yeah, so we got gold and stone for the general, for the lieutenant. And we got market and blacksmith for the lieutenant. And no buildings yet for the soldier, but we got man-at-arms coming. Wheelbarrow and gold mining. And already had double bit axe for soldier. I do feel like it's a bit early for gold mining. The arson might be good here, but probably want to wait on that until you are sending the man-at-arms forward. The lieutenant's on the way to Castle Age. And still gathering a bunch of stone. We got 480 right now, so the lieutenant might be going for a castle. Let's see if it's defensive or aggressive. I saw in the chat that soldier missed a few sheep. Yeah, I think if he missed them, he probably found them at this point. But that's unfortunate if soldier was missing the sheep for quite a while. Maybe it's the scout pushing a code that kind of kept the scout from finding them. So we got Scamel coming in for soldier. We got a second barracks. And foraging coming as well. But only 4 man-at-arms, 3 going forward and 1 sitting back here. Has soldier found the lieutenant? Yes. Alright, so looks like the soldier is using the gather idle soldiers at the center of the map setting. Alright, so we got lieutenant's got loom. And it's in Castle Age, and there's the castle. We got the second TC going down. Alright, so Lieutenant's playing Slavs, so we might see some Boyars here, which should be pretty good against the Man-at-Arms. Maybe slightly less good if Soldier adds in some spears, but we saw from the last game that Soldier might not add them in until it's too late. But the Soldier is ahead on score. So that is something. Soldier is also ahead on resources collected. I'm kind of curious to see... Just going to look at this briefly. So this is not the best place to try and break in for Soldier. It's going in right on like where the castle would be. So he might end up going, wanting to go in and keep on retreating. Alright, so the castle is up for Lieutenant. It's already making a Boyar. Castle Age is coming for Soldier. Let's see, will that change targets for Soldier? No, it's still getting the corner pieces here. It's good that Arson's in, but we got a Boyar. So it might be pretty similar here to the previous game where we got some cavalry against men-at-arms, and the cavalry might make slow headway against the infantry here. And the Boyars have the +4 armor, but or the 4 base armor, but no. Oh, we just got in the +1 armor, so that should do pretty good against the men-at-arms. 8 attack versus 5 armor. Yeah, you can see that's doing some. They're doing some pretty good work against the men-at-arms. And once again, like the Soldier is Burmese, so that +1 attack is pretty critical. They'd be doing worse against the Boyars without that extra attack. So we got the next armor coming in for Soldier. And Soldier is still way outnumbering the Lieutenant. Even if the Lieutenant is killing a bunch more units than the Soldier is. Longswordsman is coming in, which would be really important. Alright, and then Soldier is attacking this gate, which should be pretty critical here. Much better spot than trying to break in here. We got this piece, which is mostly down, but we also got the gate, which is more vulnerable. Yeah, this TC is not the best place for the Lieutenant to build. We got a few Boyars here. They're not going to be as effective against the longswords, but should still be cost effective. The Lieutenant's already killed off half of the Soldier's army. And a second castle was placed by the Lieutenant. Yep, now it's mostly spears and skirmishers. And it's not really what you need, as some bandits said. And the skirmishers at +1 attack. That's 1 attack against a Boyar. They're just gonna get crushed. What you definitely need is pikemen and some monks. yeah, so not too much happening here. The Boyars continue to make some really good kills. They got a 6-13 KD ratio. So the lieutenant's once again pretty clearly ahead. Hopefully this time it won't take as long for the lieutenant to start attacking though. But I wouldn't count on it. I think the lieutenant and the general can play even more passively on arena. But Lieutenant is pretty close to Castle Age, or Imperial Age. It's definitely saving up for it now. That's another about 200 gold. That gold would be faster if they were also gathering from this gold mine, but we already got like 24 on gold. And unfortunately, the Imperial Age is getting delayed by trying to train more Boyars. But there's the Imperial Age, it's coming in right now. And we got a ram from Soldier, but that's not going to do much against the Boyars. We got Sanctity, but I'm not sure if I'm seeing... We got a couple monks here. But we need a few more monks than that to be able to do anything against the Boyars. So it looks like we got possibly a forward castle coming from Soldier. This might make the game a little interesting here. But we do have some more monks coming from Soldier. So these pushes from Soldier might be a little bit more effective. Take down some Boyars here. But Imperial Age in here for the Lieutenant. And we've got Conscription and Gold Mining. That Gold Mining seems rather late. But let's see, so we got this forward castle here. Which, it might be in range of these wall pieces, it's hard to tell. Maybe not, because it's not attacking the wall at all. Alright, so we got Conscription in. Yeah, it looks like, once again, the Lieutenant's not really adding in effective units to complement its army. These pikemen are not really what the Lieutenant needs, but thankfully it's in the Imperial Age, so I'll be able to switch to a different unit if it needs it. But we got the last armor coming for the Lieutenant, also converted into a Rambai. And we got a third castle coming for the Lieutenant. And does the Lieutenant have a university? So, no university, so no murder holes. We've got a ram that was blocked from going where it wants to go. Yeah, I think Rambai have pierce damage, so they don't do anything against rams. This castle is probably going up, but it might be a castle that goes up at half health. Probably not the best place for the Lieutenant to build a castle. So we are seeing this the soldiers' attacks getting a bit more and more aggressive, being able to build up in more and more units. So the lieutenant's going to need to make some new moves, see if it's going to change, and be able to push back against this aggression here. Unfortunately, I don't think the lieutenant will cancel this castle. He'd probably only do it if a villager was attacked. That's something I want to add to the lieutenant and the general, is to be able to cancel buildings that are under attack. But there we go, and lost all that stone. But we got some light cav in, might do a bit more than the halberdiers. That's a much better counter to all of these Burmese monks. So it looks like the soldier was able to break in through this wall here, but a lot of its units are dying to the castle. So we've got pikes and monks and rumbai and skirmishers from soldier, and it looks like the lieutenant's actually switching to swordsman, which is interesting. I'm trying to remember if the Slavs have any bonuses for infantry. I feel like I remember something where they'd have a bonus for infantry, but I'm not sure what it would be. Oh yeah, it's the arson and gambesons are free. So that's a nice little bonus for the swordsman here. Curious if maybe the swordsman switch will be able to give the lieutenant the defense it needs, but those aren't going to do all that great against the monks. But if it can do light cav and swordsman, that might do something here. But what the lieutenant really needs right now is trebuchets. But the lieutenant right now has a bunch of gold gatherers here, but this is the last gold that it has. Let's see, take off these golds. Right now, the lieutenant has about 3,000 gold left and no relics. So he needs to be able to get that gold in and do some damage here, or else the soldier's push might be too strong. Yeah, so it looks like that swordsman switch didn't really last all that long, did it? That's something that I've been wanting to change about the general and the lieutenant, is just being able to stick with its tech switches and unit counters a bit longer. Be a bit more intelligent about the kind of units that it trains. And of course, the lieutenant would be much better off if it didn't just send in units one by one and try and attack. But the lieutenant doesn't have any military micro. Yeah, I guess there's also Druzhina, which is really what makes him an infantry civ. But I don't think the lieutenant will be getting there anytime soon. That's one of the most expensive techs in the game. And 131 villagers for the soldier. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 castles. And unfortunately for the lieutenant, I think it has code to train trebuchets, but I think when the town is under attack, it doesn't really save up for for expensive stuff like trebuchets. That actually like clears all of its escrow, so it might have to get lucky and to be able to get the gold for a trebuchet. Someone else to change, of course. I think the only thing that's really keeping the lieutenant ahead in score is its KD ratio, 310 to 112. That's quite a lot of units that this soldier has lost. And oh, looks like the villagers are trying to go for this gold, but that's not going to work. Yeah, it looks like maybe this gold was attacked recently, so it looks like it's trying to avoid that gold and go for this one instead. But unfortunately, that's not really going to work. That gold is not available. That castle's going to take out any villagers that try to gather. Let's see, so we also got, oh, they might be going for this stone actually, which is not important right now. Alright, so we got squires, and I saw that we got the chainmail armor pretty recently. Yeah, so unfortunately this game is kind of stalematey, but I think once this gold runs out for the lieutenant, that might be when things change. Also might change once the soldier gets Imperial Age. Maybe the soldier will get some trebuchets. Yeah, seems like the soldiers maybe doesn't have the big enough. So it looks like the soldier has a whole bunch of people gathering gold long distance, but also doesn't have the wood to make a new lumber camp. And it's not saving up for that lumber camp either. So it's kind of in a low eco situation. Let's see, just temporarily had the wood for a new lumber camp, but didn't build one. Built a mill instead. Oh man. Looks like the soldiers actually get into a situation where it's wanting a mill, but the mill maximum distance is too low to actually build a mill by forage bushes. So we might have a situation where the soldier kind of bugs out and spams mills all over the place. That's really unfortunate. Might give the lieutenant a break though, but I'm not sure if the lieutenant's really going to be able to take advantage of it. So we're still kind of in the same situation where the soldier loses a bunch of units to the castle. The lieutenant sends out reinforcements one by one, which die. because neither AI has the siege to take down the castles. Let's see, how's Soldier's Eco doing? So we got a new lumber camp, thankfully. It looks like the mill stuff has stopped. Got a new castle coming up. Ah yes, score. Lieutenant has 1 point, or 1 game 1, which is 4 points. Still on skirmishers and pikes for the soldier. Let's see, so the lieutenant's got 400 gold left approximately that it can gather from. Yeah, we might see it starting to send villagers here and get them killed by the castle. But still not building a new mining camp for the gold for the soldier. Ah, there's a new mining camp. This lad might out soldier a little bit. Maybe you can get the gold for some siege. Got even another mining camp here. This one's a bit more dangerous. Yeah, there's not too much to say about this game. That's unfortunately how some AI games can go that I don't really know how to say about for Siege. Yeah, I think both AIs have the market, so they could trade resources to get the Siege, but usually it takes a bit to add some code to save up for important units. And that's usually not the first thing that AI scripters will add to their AIs. Yeah, there's the mining camp for that gold. I also got this lumber camp here, which isn't being used yet, but it might soon. The soldier's up to above 30 military population. It's still not making any headway against the lieutenant's castles, but it's probably idling the lieutenant's eco a bit more. Apparently 6 hours of idle eco time. So we got guilds for soldier. I'm curious to see if it uses that market trading a bit more. Add some market trading events here. So maybe we'll get to 200 gold for Trebuchet? Nope. Almost. I'm going to speed up the game here. Don't usually like to, but I think this game needs it. And neither of these AIs use a lot of micro. A little bit to escape the castles, I think, from Soldier, but that's really about it. So I'm wondering, okay, so maybe it was saving up the gold for champion, Soldier was, which is not using the two-handed swordsman, so I'm not sure if champion was important, but maybe he'll start using the gold for trebuchets. You can tell I'm waiting for trebuchets to come in. So we got masonry coming. I certainly hope Soldier has code to make siege. I'm just not sure if Soldier's code to make the siege is actually prioritized. I don't think we have any. We got a siege workshop, but of course it's not being used. I'm gonna turn off the market trade stuff right now. Handcart coming in. Alright, so we got champions coming in. If anything can come toward the castle, that'll do some damage here. But I think they'll go after any villagers walking around instead. Yeah, unfortunately, infantry are just trying to avoid the castle. More and more barracks. Might help get some more champions on the field. Oh, we got some finally decided to attack the castle. But I think we're finally getting near the end. If these castles go down, I'll call it GG. Got Burmese elite skirmishers coming. Really scary. Alright, Lieutenant calls GG. Finally. Alright, so the score here. And then switch over to the game score. Just flip through these really quickly.